I wasn't supposed to be found there behind the coffee shop at Harbor and Pine curled around a photo, like it was a life preserver, counting breaths the way you count loose change when you know the register's coming up short. A pair of polished shoes stopped right by my face, and before I could run, a calm voice said, "I'm not here to make you leave." That's how Cole Harrington stepped into my worst day and handed me a key with no lecture, no questions, just a simple offer that sounded too clean to be real. I told him I don't take charity, he said. Then let it be a deal. You clean, you stock, you make the place better. I'll give you a door that locks and hot water that works, no strings. You know what I mean? That studio upstairs was small and quiet. The kind of quiet that hugs you, towel folded like a swan. A window breathing the neon harbor cafe. And when the shower finally ran hot, I watched the gray water leave like it had been holding its breath too. I slept with the photo of my brother Malcolm pressed to my chest, and woke up to my name stuck back on me like it had decided to stop wandering. Lila ran the cafe like a conductor with a dish rag baton, shoulders, broad eyes, kind, she said. Prove you're not precious, and handed me the fryer I cleaned, like I was making something right, because I was, and when Cole came through that back door with his quiet, that makes a room listen, he didn't fish for my story, he waited like a good teacher, who knows the bell rings when the kid is ready. The rhythm found us, before we found it, 2 sugars for me, black with 1 sugar after the first sip for him, like he's bargaining with himself. Chairs flipped at close, radio low, and grief finally unclenched its jaw long enough for me to say Malcolm's name out loud, 23 gone faster than any system moved to help debts, with smiles that cut a classroom. I loved more than my own sleep slipping through my fingers, and Cole didn't fix it, he didn't preach. He put his palm on the table like gravity and said, I'm sorry, the kind that isn't a performance, the kind that lets you keep breathing. He told me his last name, and the room tipped a degree Harrington, like the headline people love to read when they need a villain or a savior. Logistics satellites, boxes, finding doorsteps faster than decisions. Find Congress, a bookstore. Upstairs, he loved, because it didn't make money. A father who disappeared into a bottle, and a boy who learned to speak in spreadsheets. Until last night, he said, and I believed him because his eyes didn't try to sell me anything. A week later, he asked if I'd come to a small dinner where people pretend not to count the silver. He said I could keep him honest. Yeah, that happened. And Lila pinned a dress at my shoulder and told me if they look down their nose at you, check their teeth for spinach, and smile like you're praying for them. Blake met us at the door with hair that looked unionized and a voice that tasted like ice water pleasure, he said, which is what people say when they mean tolerate. He liked clean narratives and investors who don't get motion sick. He asked me 3 times what I used to do. I said, I still do it. I teach only now. The lessons smell like lemon degreaser, and the kids tip in singles. He asked how we met, and I said, Cole found me where people like him never look. And under the table, Cole's hand didn't touch mine, but it warmed the air like a promise. Coat check turned into a stage. Blake said, don't look distracted. The round is delicate. The blogs are sniffing. And Cole said, if my humanity is a liability, we're raising from the wrong people. Blake chuckled like a cough and said, strategy, I stepped in with a thank you, but no thank you, and told him. Investors aren't weather, they're people who either want return with stain remover or return with a story. They can tell their kids, he said respectfully. This is above your pay grade, I said respectfully. My life has been priced by strangers for too long, and I'm done giving discounts. After that came the part no one puts in a montage, the steady days that stitch a heart back together when no one's filming. I labeled the stockroom like a school supply closet. I built a rotation chart Lila called witchcraft. I read on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the community center to a kid named Carmen who flipped B and D until we gave them backpacks and sent one forward and one back, and upstairs, Cole started a story hour where toddlers climbed him like a tree and left stickers on his shirt that said, "Hello, my name is Mr. C." And when he walked down with pink cheeks and said, "Maybe we point real money at EdTech that actually reaches classrooms," I said, "Lip service is cheaper." He smiled and said, "Good thing I can afford you." We kissed on a bench with a plaque for a woman who loved sunrises, not fireworks, just a door opening without a squeak, relief more than conquest, choice more than rescue, and for a second, I thought maybe life would let it be that simple. Then came Blake's informal board meeting, which is corporate for trap slides about churn and burn and brand integrity, the gossip blog with comments that make you want to boil your phone, and his line about being the firm that dates press releases. I stepped out of the shadows next to a plant, trying to photosynthesize under LED, and said, "If you build tools for kids like mine, let me test them or admit you're selling mirrors." The room went brittle quiet, Cole said. "If the price of this round is my spine, I'm not paying." Blake said, "You're making a mistake," Cole said. "Maybe, but I sleep fine when I choose people." We left to a silence that felt like a threat, and my hands shook like theft alarms. Cole touched my elbow and said, "You didn't have to take that hit." I said I didn't. I took it for the kids and for the version of me that used to swallow her tongue and call the indigestion being polite. The twist landed on a Saturday with a line around the block and a hand-painted sign that read, "Harbor Pages, a free reading clinic we invented on a napkin, news cameras, sniffing for a redemption arc or a scandal." Blake hovering by the door wearing neutral like a suit, me kneeling beside a boy who saw dragons where a dog and a mailbox lived, and telling him, "You might be a writer, Cole," guiding a teen through a tablet, not playing boss. Listening, the lens, catching him with sleeves rolled and a sticker on his chest. Catching me with hair I didn't tame, and a sentence that said, "Letters are just shy shapes. We can coax them out," and after the crumbs were swept, Blake said, "The kids didn't care what shoes anyone wore, and I said they never do." And he asked if we'd really walk away from money if partners pushed, and Cole said, "We'll walk toward the right ones and wave at the rest from shore." The segment aired, and the internet did what it does, half called me a grifter with nice cheekbones, half called him a savior with better lighting. The other half, math be damned, called us naive. My favorite comment was from a woman named Dee, who said her kid's school has one counselor for 400 kids. So if a man wants to fund reading, let him. And if he wants to date a woman who knows her worth, let him twice. Someone taped it to the tip jar, and Lila swore she had no idea how it got there. A letter came from Harbor Elementary offering me a part-time position with benefits. Cole said I made an introduction. You did the rest with witnesses shorter than their backpacks. My throat burned in the way that heals. I said yes, because saying no would have been a lie. And for a minute that felt like the clean victory card you frame on your wall. But the world loves a clause, and a private equity firm slid in with a massive offer for Cole's logistics arm jobs on the line, paychecks you can't sneer at, and in the fine print, a note about messaging discipline and public-personal associations. Anyone with eyes could see what that meant. His board is split, good people on both sides, making arguments that make sense if you squint. He hasn't signed, he hasn't refused. He's at my kitchen table eating cold garlic knots and reading the clause out loud, like pronunciation might make it kinder. I told him I won't be the reason he turns down something that feeds families. He told me I won't be the excuse someone uses to take our names off the door. We're in that quiet part between decision and consequence, where decent people argue with themselves and call it planning. So tell me honestly, what's the right play when money promises highways, but demands you erase the passenger who taught you why the destination matters? Is dignity a luxury or a line you don't cross? Have you ever been reduced to your worst day by people who never saw your best? Drop your take in the comments. Agree, disagree. Tell me where you're watching from. And if someone once handed you a key when all you had left was your name, share that too. I read them, even the mean ones, because the only things worth keeping are the ones we can defend in daylight and teach to a kid who might learn our names off a brass tag and choose kindness anyway.